Hey, it's Drybear. The long-awaited day has happened. Today, we've got the very first live patch update for Stalker 2 Heart of Chornobyl, and it's a doozy. Now, we talked about this earlier this week before the holiday, going over what their plans were for their first patch, and they do make an effort to mention in this specific update that they are going to be focusing on updates regularly. They're planning to do 2 DLC expansions with story as part of the campaign. They're doing multiplayer, and they're focused on keeping the game as clear as possible. So with this patch, they mentioned that this is focused primarily on crashes, stability and performance, and general quest fixes and lockouts. Because so many people that are playing the game now, it has happened to me a ton towards the end of the game, getting locked out of quests, quest NPCs disappearing, quest targets becoming invulnerable, everything just, people are getting brick saves, really bad stuff where they literally can't even finish the game, and that's what they're prioritizing. So in this patch, it'll be over 650 fixes, quest blockers, memory leaks, crashes, and minor bugs. However, what they didn't do is they didn't address the dead zone stick drift for Xbox or some of the major problems with A-Life that people are having. Starting with much needed AI fixes, they fixed groups of NPCs getting stuck and dying in near shelter during active emission. This wasn't a huge deal, but sometimes during active emissions, NPCs would just be stuck on some nav mesh somewhere and wouldn't be able to travel anywhere, and then they would end up dying, which kind of created some really weird situations where you had giant graveyards and problems there. They fixed an issue where the bearers, which I will henceforth call burgers, I've always called them burgers. It is a meme name they all call bearers, but I like calling them burgers because they look like ground beef. So the burgers could drop any mission item out of the player's hand, so anything from your inventory could be yanked out. They have telekinesis where they can remove something from your hands. They can actually remove your scanner. They can remove your weapon. I think it's supposed to only pull your main weapon out, but it was pulling more out, so they fixed that with the mission items coming out as well. They added missing sound effects for the burger's telekinesis ability. This one wasn't happening too much, but was pretty annoying when it did happen. They fixed issues with NPCs occasionally getting stuck and not reaching the mission location. This might have caused inability to interact with NPC or progress to the next mission stage due to the idle behavior or mission NPC, or in some cases where NPCs needed to get to a specific spot before you could actually progress the mission. Fixed issues with performance drops, potential out-of-memory crashes. Now keep in mind, when it comes to performance, it's always an ongoing thing, and usually if the devs are smart, which they are in most of these notes, you say it is a potential fix. There's no way to completely guarantee that a fix is going to fix it for everyone, especially when you're talking about PC, where hardware is so widely varied across multiple different operating systems, platforms, physical drivers for graphics cards, CPUs, motherboards, everything. There's no way to know if it's going to fix it all, so you just keep hitting the problem until eventually people stop, you stop getting reports about crashes. So performance drops and potential out-of-memory crashes in hubs and locations crowded with NPCs. Fixed an issue with NPCs that would move to A pose or start flying after death. And by the way, they mentioned NPCs during long play sessions, which sounds like they made some adjustments to issues about memory leaks that was causing the game to just eventually shut down after a while. Fixed issues with NPCs could not track whether a target in cover was covered from shots, which caused them to shoot into cover. And this happened all the time because NPCs would shoot at you through walls, concrete walls, metal walls. It was ridiculous. And you would even sometimes take damage from the NPC if they had a weapon that would penetrate those walls. So it's like you were just being aimbotted through walls from NPCs, which is total nonsense. So they've just some of those issues, and hopefully most of those are gone now. And they mentioned 20 other minor fixes for AI that hopefully will make things better. So let me know how the AI is for you after the patch. Optimization fixes, they fixed issues with invisible NPCs, mutants appearing in FOV while the player is scoped. This never happened to me, but I've seen clips of it where it would appear in your scope or to the side of you, which looked super weird. Fixed fire visual effects that were not rendering at certain camera angles, and they also fixed approximately 100 different crash situations, including exception access violations, so just general major crash errors on PC, the Game Pass as well as Xbox. So all those hopefully will make a big impact on making people's performance better. Fixed issue with combat music was still playing while combat was finished. I actually had to restart my game many times because it's happened to me where the music was just on. Not that I don't like the music in Stalker and the atmosphere, but I like having it feel very tense. One of my favorite parts about Stalker 2 is just the general vibe of it. I always feel like I'm on edge whether something's happening or not, and the music getting stuck on would just pull my immersion out of that. So hopefully this fixes it for most people. Now, this is where things are going to get a little controversial. So they actually ended up making a bunch of balance adjustments to the economy and general experience of the game, progressing from early game to late game, and some of the difficulty settings as well. And after having done like mod videos and talking about the state of the game, I know some people are purists and saying, hey, this is Stalker. It's always been hard, suck it up, you know, and push through it. And people are saying, I can't be bothered. Everything weighs too much. I make no money. The repair costs are too high, yada, yada. So let me know where your stance is on this. I know everyone's mixed and in different areas for the Stalker 2 community, but let me know where your head is at. But let's talk through the official balance adjustments that they made. They did decrease the repair cost for weapon and armor repairs. So they didn't say by how much. We can jump in and we can see how much these actually are, but these are going to be reduced overall. I think in general, this probably needed to happen anyways. Sometimes these were just a little bit too high. Again, they probably need to maybe make a new mode that is like the most punishing version with the worst economy, because that is kind of the Stalker vibe where you really have to just pick and choose and use what's available as much as possible because everything's so expensive. But they did end up reducing the repair costs on weapon armor. They also significantly increased cost of artifacts. So a weak artifact was like 7,500, a medium was like 15,000. In some cases, you could get to the maximum, which were like 60,000. So when they say significantly increase, this is going to drastically increase the value of selling artifacts. I like the artifacts feeling valuable and meaningful, but we'll see how much this is. I mean, with the repair costs down and the artifacts going up in value, that's going to be a pretty big increase for money reward. The money reward for missions is increased from 2 to 3 times. To be honest with you, the mission rewards were almost inconsequential. Most of the missions would get anywhere from like 300 coupons to like 3,000 coupons, with repair costs being like 18,000 to 50,000. So you had to do like 4 to 10 quests to get one item repaired, and in the process of those 4 to 10 quests, you would end up breaking many items. So the missions did not feel rewarding, and whether you feel the economy was correct or not, I think the mission rewards needed to come up anyway to make you feel like you would want to actually go through and do side missions to get coupons because the value was too low. Rookie difficulty armor and weapon buffs to make it easier on rookie difficulty to clear out monsters. I think this is probably the right call because rookie difficulty is your easy mode anyways, so letting people play through that in a way that allows them to kill off enemies, I think is great. Damage from mutants is moderately decreased on rookie difficulty, so you get better armor, better weapons, and the mutants are less threatening on rookie difficulty, and damage to player's weapon is decreased by 23% on rookie difficulty, so they're just making rookie difficulty way easier across the board. Armor durability for all modes is increased by 12.5%, so those will decay or get wear and tear a little bit slower than before. Added silencer attachment for PTM to specific stash on lesser zone. Fixed sell prices for exoskeletons. They are now more expensive to sell. They were kind of the same as some of the other armors, and exoskeletons are supposed to be the creme de la creme, so those being more valuable, I think, is a good call. Fixed sell price of upgraded weapons, and rebalance the Hercules consumable so that it no longer grants a speed buff. It increased the effect parameters, and now more weight could be carried by player after consuming, which is, I think, why you were using that consumable in the first place, is to carry more. For combat, we get some big changes here as well. Reduce some mission items weight, including weight of scanners. Slightly rebalance bloodsucker's damage, mostly just for the leap attack to see if, you know, that can easily two-shot you or kill you if you're below 80-70% HP. Decrease bloodsucker's strike protection rank, more damage from guns. Reduced bloodsucker's HP regeneration outside of combat. And these are some pretty big changes, even on the veteran difficulty. And part of me wonders if they probably should have just add a new difficulty above veteran, like add master in so we can play on that. Because I think with all of these changes, I think that it is going to make the game that people have already adjusted to much easier. I think the people that have been playing on veteran without mods this last week have already adjusted to the intensity of being broke all the time, having no weapons. Bloodsuckers are ridiculous. You have no ammo. You're always overburdened. You're lugging tons of heavy stuff back to town so you can sell it for $3 and buy a piece of a bread slice and that sort of thing. So I think all these changes are going to be crazy, but bloodsuckers are going to be way easier to kill now. They moderately reduced the HP of controllers, which you can kind of cheese anyway by using line of sight. So I guess this prevents you from needing to have a side block on hand. You can burn them down before you end up having to use too many med supplies. So there's there. The burger HP is moderately reduced. The boar HP is moderately reduced. The flesh HP is moderately reduced. Nothing here about chimeras. Damage to boar from headshots changed to 100% of body damage, which I think I think I'm reading this as there's no headshot damage for boars. Since they're like 40% head anyways, I guess there's no headshot damage. Boar damage to limbs is increased, and then damage to flesh from shots to the limb increased, significantly increased weapon melee distance, and slightly increased knife melee distance. So I think this is huge because there's so many times where you'll be standing over a crate you're trying to break open, and you actually have to crouch and put your face into the crate to melee it because the melee distance is so short. You'll also miss some melee strikes on enemies if you're trying to do it, and hopefully the increased melee distance allows you to do the stealth attacks from a safer distance without bumping into the enemy. So I think this is something that was necessary. It just felt so awkward to have to get really close to the crate to break it open, and sometimes you would cause a physics reaction where you would bump into the crate and launch it away from you because you're trying to get so freaking close to do the melee. So I like this change. I think this is a good one. They also increased the gamepad dead zones. This is not the stick drift issue, but they increased the dead zone availability. They still need to add a bunch of controller support, menu options for controlling the dead zone, ADS, separate ADS sliders and things like that. And I think all that will go a long way, but this at least is a step in the right direction to make gamepad a little bit more bearable. They also fixed eyes and teeth on NPC models. There's a lot of NPCs, even core main story NPCs, that will just be looking up into the corner of the room while they're talking to you, or their eyes will roll back into their head like they're part of The Exorcist, and it's freaky. So they fixed some of those situations where the eyes and teeth will be better, and they also did some minor fixes of NPC models and animations that might be buggy or look weird. They added missing footage to TV displays in the final cutscene, fixed issue with deer animation in the opening cutscene, as well as 20 other bugs in cutscenes in general. They adjusted unreadable text at the bottom of the shader compilation screen, and they fixed an issue with an NVIDIA Reflex low latency not being saved on subsequent boots, and 10 other minor issues with settings. They fixed physics issues with destructible and movable objects, ones floating in the air. There's videos of dolls floating around and going crazy, which to me was just an anomaly, but I guess it was a bug. Fixed interaction prompt with glass doors in the inner yard of an area that you may or may not have gone through, and they fixed an inner door issue in one of the laboratory elevators that were causing problems, plus more minor bugs. They also fixed a bunch of stuck points for the main and side quests where NPCs would get stuck, your progress would be broken, you'd have to roll back a save, that sort of thing. I don't think they've got all of them yet, but they did a bunch of them. I'm not going to line item this because some of this may be considered spoilers, as the name of the mission, the location, or the description of the bug that was fixed might be a spoiler for you. To spare you from that, I'm not going to go line item by line item. Just know that a lot of the main quest and side quest stuck points have been fixed, and I'll leave a link to the patch notes down below if you want to go find ones that you are stuck on specifically, but I'm not going to go through each one individually. For open world, they fixed stretched or missing limbs on humanoid corpses, fixed missing fast travel routes, including to the concrete plant for Toadstool. This is actually a very nice shortcut that should be very useful, assuming you have the coupons to pay for a guide, that is. Resolved issues with loudspeakers, fast travel, NPC interactions in various locations, such as the scientist bunker and chemical plant, adjusted hostile NPC behavior during the arena missions, and they corrected mission progression in the Black Sheep and the Key to Freedom missions. Fixed a bug that allows players to sell items for more than they're worth. This is one of the many infinite money glitches that people are using. Fixed input blocking issues with the PDA inventory and attachments when interacting with artifacts. Corrected flashlight behavior for saving and loading. Resolved issues with grenade type selection, compass marker overlaps, and missing mission markers. This was huge. It was actually some of the main campaign missions that had no marker at all. So you would have to and the description of the quest was so shorthand that you would really have to remember what the person said or go back in the footage or just re-roll a save, because they wouldn't tell you where to go, and the quest description wouldn't have anything in it either. It would just be like, go talk to Guy, and you don't know where that is on the map, and you forgot the dialogue that was just said, and you have no marker, so you're screwed. So hopefully this fixes all of those. They fixed inconsistencies with weapon and armor upgrade effects, including pricing and upgrade reversals, improved HUD behavior, and prolonged the duration of point of no return hints to make sure that you know, because right now, if you do the point of return, if you go meet Hanako at Embers, it'll be the end of your story. You'll be on your point of no return way out of the game. They actually don't have a way to reset either. Fixed a bug where players could sell mission items using Gamepad, improved, and yeah, so they did that that as well, plus 50 minor anomalies like, UI issues, open world issues, quest issues, interaction issues. They fixed some things with voiceovers and facial animations like we mentioned earlier that were causing NPCs to look very demonic. They fixed issues of flickering textures in various locations. Some of these were really bad. Like some of these quests were really bad. The Z-fighting of entire buildings was so bad. Based on camera alignment, you would get textures going all over the place. They resolved movement issues, including getting stuck in certain locations during missions like Once More Unto the Breach, corrected artifact spawn points in some areas, which were spawning on top of buildings. So you would go to a location where an artifact was, it would spawn on top of like a radio tower, which you had no way of getting to, which was ridiculous. They fixed NPC behavior during encounters and adjusted voice volume during storm weather for improved audio balance and approximately 50 more bugs around the world itself. And that's it for patch 1, simply 1 week after the game launched, fixing a bunch of stuff. Let me know if your experience has improved in Stalker 2, and hopefully this breaks a lot of the stuck points in story progression so you could actually finish quests now and finish campaign progress. They mentioned that the work on the game and future patches continues, and they are working on A-Life, and they will be addressing that in future patches. They are, of course, working on the stick drift issue and some other critical problems, and of course, this isn't going to solve all performance issues for people. There's going to be more. They're going to have to keep, hammering away at it and getting it better, but let me know what you think about the very first live update for Stalker 2. Does this make you feel better about the game, or were you someone that was enjoying it all the way? And are you on the other end feeling like the balance changes for this patch were way too out of line and made the game too easy, even on the veteran difficulty, where you may actually have to mod the game to make it harder now because they ended up nerfing it? Let me know down below. If you found value in today's video, leave a like down below, leave a comment for the algorithm to help this video get seen by more people, and don't forget to check out my other channels for other content and other stuff and other things.